Mario Tennis Fever might have done the impossible here because for the whole generation of the Nintendo Switch 1, we had a large group of people who truly felt that Nintendo was holding out on us when it comes to the Mario sports games, when it comes to Mario Tennis Aces, Mario Golf Super Rush, and Mario Strikers Battle League, where Nintendo would do this thing to where they would put out the game, and yeah, it's cool, it plays good, 60 FPS, looks nice, but there'd be issues with the amount of content you get. They do these updates, and a lot of people felt that Nintendo was holding back the content to release them periodically during the updates, and they weren't packing it enough full of content from the beginning, or there'd be too many issues just with the game overall. If you look at a game like Mario Strikers Battle League, for example, not having the 4 players online all at the same time to where you can do the 4-on-4, to where it'd be like 8-on-8, like real truly cool multiplayer. So that might have been a technical thing overall, but still, it was an issue when it comes down to it. And now with Mario Tennis Fever, they released an overview trailer, and I covered it before, but I went more in depth into the overview trailer. I watched the whole thing, I reacted to it overall, I looked at the general sentiment from the people that are the biggest critics, obviously online, you're gonna hear about that, and it seems to me like they have actually done the impossible. They have looked at what did not work through 7, 8, 9 years, or however many years of the Switch 1, of what happened with the Mario sports games, and they have fixed that. We have no new updates or planned updates announced at this point. Usually at an overview trailer, they'd probably talk about it. That was something that was so prevalent with Mario sports games with the Nintendo Switch 1, where they would let us know, hey, free content is coming in updates. That ultimately was almost, I would say, like backfired. It's supposed to be like a positive thing for PR, like, hey, you get a free update, no paid DLC, but it ultimately ended up turning into like a bad thing. People are like, wait a minute, no, just put the whole game in there from the beginning. Because if you go back to where the Mario sports game started, obviously N64, or you look at the GBA, or you look at the GameCube or the 3DS, none of those games really had any like updates to the game. So I don't think Mario sports fans were even used to that in the first place. I'm more of a casual Mario sports fan. I never really paid too much attention to the games outside of just playing them with my friends every now and then and having fun, but I wasn't really in the nitty gritty when it comes to the economics of the Mario sports games, or when it comes to the content and stuff. I just played the verses every now and then. I never really got in depth into it. But this game, Mario Tennis Fever, seems to have so much overall in terms of what you can do. Now, I want to go over some of the stuff that Nintendo says. Then I want to go over the big thing here when it comes to what people are saying. I got a couple different comments that are interesting. So it says, hit the court for explosive action in the latest Mario's Tennis game. Join Mario and friends for over-the-top tennis mayhem. Use topspin, slices, lobs, and other familiar shots, along with other fancy footwork and new defensive maneuvers to outpace your opponents on the court. Keep a rally going, build up your fever gauge, and unleash powerful fever shots that can be augmented with the special effects by equipping fever rackets. Freeze the court with the ice racket, summon mushrooms that shrink opponents with the mini mushroom racket, duplicate yourself with the shadow racket, and more. Mix and match 30 different fever rackets with 38 playable characters, the most in series history, to find a strategy that works for you. Serve up casual or competitive play in a variety of game modes. Get play-by-play commentary from a talking flower in tournament mode. Test your skills in competitive various objectives in trial tower mode, or take on matches with unexpected rules and even some wonder effects in mix it up mode. Hop online for casual bouts with customizable rules with an online room, or go for glory in competitive ranked matches. You can even gently swing your Joy-Con 2 controller like a racket for a more authentic experience in swing mode. Experience a story in which Mario and friends, encountering monsters on a remote island, find themselves transformed into babies. So Mario Tennis Daima help them relearn their tennis skills and defeat the monsters to return to normal in adventure mode. Mario Tennis Fever is out on February 12th. And if you go over to the comment section on YouTube, and Purple Kraken on the overview video says this: it's so nice to see Nintendo finally listen to the complaints about the recent sports game. There looks to be a lot of content in this game. I really hope it holds up well. Then also MD Game Station said this: finally, a Mario sports game packed with content and fun gimmicks. So people are definitely reacting differently when it comes to this. I've seen even people that were historically negative when it comes to Nintendo's games come out make videos on this, GVG also did Good Vibe Games, also did a comparison and said this looks incredible, from the models with Mario Tennis Aces to Mario Tennis Fever. So it looks like there's legitimate upgrades here, but we're gonna have to wait and see for the full release. It's coming out February 12th though, so it's gonna be here sooner than later, and I'm very excited to see overall just how the game just plays out and what people think about it. I know I'm going to be picking it up. If I had one criticism, I'd say, you know what, yeah, the $70 for the price tag for the spin-off Mario games, it would be nice if that was like 60 or something, but hey, that's like my one issue that I think that some people do have. Some people feel that, hey, if I'm going to be putting 100, 200 plus hours into it, it's going to be worth it for you. So obviously that's going to be a person-to-person subjective thing. But so far, so good when it comes to the actual game itself. So what do you guys think about Mario Tennis Fever? Have they done the impossible here? I think that they might have when it comes down to this. Let me know in the comment section below. But before we get to the next topic, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 when we hit 150,000 subscribers. And by the end of this month, we're also giving away a $50 eShop card. All you got to do to enter in is just subscribe to the channel if you're not subbed already, and then drop a comment below. Winners will be picked randomly. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this next topic here. We've got Nintendo GameCube Classics adds Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, and I wanted to talk about this more because the Nintendo Switch Online is becoming one of the better services out there based off of just the accumulated value and how much it costs to actually get this. So Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is now available. You guys can all go pick it up on the GameCube NSO Nintendo Classics app. There's so many different names for this thing. It's just called Nintendo GameCube Nintendo Classics app for Switch 2. There we go, when it comes down to that. All right, let's get into what Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is. This game is old, so I wanted to go over for those who maybe aren't into Fire Emblem or just got into it in the Nintendo Switch 1 era. War has engulfed the land of Tellius. When a surprise invasion triggers a worldwide conflict, a sinister force emerges from the shadows and pits the two against one another. Only a young mercenary named Ike and his small band of soldiers for hire stand between Tellius and madness, command new units and familiar favorites, including shape-shifting Lagus and spear-wielding Wyvern riders in lush 3D battles, master strategy, steel, and sorcery to guide Ike and his forces to victory and restore peace to the Seven Kingdoms. Customize your units with combat skills like Deadeye, but guide them carefully. If they fall in battle, they're gone forever. But of course, with the Nintendo Switch Online, Nintendo Classics, GameCube, you can have save states. So you can always just save it beforehand. Yeah, be careful though, because if you do a save state too close to a point where you're actually like screwed, then yeah, you're gonna have to probably restart the chapter if you don't want to lose that unit forever, because yeah, you can't lose units forever. There is no casual mode in these Fire Emblem games, the old school ones. There is no casual mode like the new Fire Emblem games, so you have to keep that in mind. But Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, to me, it's a significant release on the Nintendo Classics GameCube because this game is super expensive online. This game goes for like $200 plus or so, depending on the condition of the game. If you've got a brand new copy of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and you want to sell that for the GameCube, yeah, you're going to be able to sell that for a lot of money. It was a not limited release at the time, but the game did not sell as much as other GameCube games, so there just wasn't as many copies floating around. And it was also a late GameCube game, so that didn't help at all because the Nintendo Wii was right there on the horizon with Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. So Nintendo surely didn't print enough copies, and they were already kind of hesitant about how Fire Emblem is going to do in the West anyway. So that's the reason why this game just doesn't have a lot of copies going around there. I'm lucky enough to have a couple copies myself, but it's cool to have this like when I don't want to bust out the GameCube and hook it up and do all that. Being able to have this on the GameCube NSO is just really cool, and it's something, like I said, I feel is a landmark type of game and release for the service, and I hope that it continues to get better and better. I mean, the GameCube NSO just came out this year. There's already, I think, about what, 8 games, or there's a number of games. Obviously it could be better, but if you're starting to look at the overall value that you get with the NSO, and you're talking about save states in addition to any games that have multiplayer, local multiplayer, you can turn that into online multiplayer with your friends. There's no matchmaking, but you can play online. So I think that for $50 $20 for the whole year, and there's about 300 games done at this point between all the different systems. I think that's not bad at all, because it comes out to about $4 a month or something like that. But even the $20 NSO is not too bad overall. But yeah, I love Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I think that it's a really good game, and I'm definitely going to get into playing it probably this weekend or so, or the next week. And I know I'm going to take some time to just really sit down and play through the game again, because it was a great game on the GameCube, but at that time I wasn't the biggest Fire Emblem fan. But it's cool to see it come back in this type of way for a new generation of fans, and of course people to relive a classic like this. So what do you guys think about Fire Emblem Path of Radiance coming out for the NSO? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here. We've got Lollipop Chainsaw RePOP. We've got some details on the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of this game, because the Switch 1 version is crusty. So it's good to see that they've actually fixed things up here with the Switch 2 edition of the game. And another thing is that this is actually on a real physical game cartridge. No game key card for this one, so this might be something that you might want to add to your library as well. So Lollipop Chainsaw RePOP first launched for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch 1, and PC via Steam on September 12, 2024, followed by the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on December 2nd, 2024. Total sales have surpassed 300,000 units as of August 12, 2025. Now the Nintendo Switch 2 edition comes in with numerous graphical upgrades not present in the Switch 1 version, as well as a significantly improved performance at a stable 60 frames per second in both handheld and docked modes. Now this version of the game also introduces the Switch 2 exclusive mode, gun shooting mode, which is unlocked after clearing either RePOP mode or original mode. In it, players will face waves of oncoming zombies across 3 wave phases per stage, using the Chainsaw Blaster as a fixed turret to fend off enemies in an arcade-style minigame format. Mouse-style aiming with the Joy-Con 2 controller is supported. So this is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to them bringing this to the Nintendo Switch 2 overall, improving it greatly. The 60 FPS, they have a nice little exclusive gun mode that you can do. It gives people incentive to go out there and drop the money on the physical cartridge, drop the extra on this game being a bit later than it was on Switch 1 and also on other platforms. But you also have to remember, it came out before the Switch 2 was even out overall, so they really couldn't do anything with that. And I think that they actually took the extra time to make sure that they optimize the Nintendo Switch 2 version of the game. So definitely nice upgrades all around, and it's cool to see the Nintendo Switch 2 actually getting more physical games on the cartridge. I think that some developers are just saying, hey, look, we'll spend the extra on the cartridge, maybe we won't make as much, but it ultimately ends up being better for the consumers out there, and I think that's the most important thing. So great update from Dragami Games when it comes to Lollipop Chainsaw RePOP Nintendo Switch 2 edition. That is March 26th in Japan for that one, and it probably should be same thing worldwide overall. So the first half of this year is stacking up really nice when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 games. We've got some third-party support from lots of different developers. Capcom coming in with numerous games, Resident Evil, Pragmata, Monster Hunter Stories 3, a lot of good stuff. Square Enix with Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, now this one as well. So definitely fun when it comes to variety here. So what do you guys think when it comes to all the different topics here that we discussed? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.